Serial killers often work alone, stalking victims from the shadows. But what happened in a small Australian town called Snowtown reveals something far more terrifying. How a charismatic monster can turn ordinary people into willing accomplices in unimaginable horror.
You know, just the name Snowtown still sends chills through people in Australia, even decades later.
In 1999, police made a discovery in that quiet town that would shock the entire nation. 6 large blue plastic barrels hidden in an abandoned bank vault. Inside were the remains of 8 victims. But that was just the beginning of the horror.
So this wasn't just another lone wolf killer situation?
Not at all. At the centre was John Bunting, a man who managed to build what you might call a murder cult. He convinced others that they were cleansing society of undesirables, but in reality, they were targeting vulnerable people for profit and pleasure.
That's particularly chilling. The way he manipulated others into joining his crusade.
His inner circle included Robert Wagner, a teenager named James Vlasakis, and Mark Hayden. They specifically chose victims who lived on society's margins. People with disabilities, those with criminal records, individuals who might not be immediately missed.
Well, that explains how they got away with it for so long. They were deliberately picking people who were already isolated.
Exactly. And they were methodical about it. Before killing their victims, they'd force them to give up their bank details. Then they'd continue collecting welfare payments after the murders. They even made victims record messages or write letters to family members to maintain the illusion they were still alive.
That level of planning is just... how does someone even think of something so calculated?
Bunting actually kept what he called a death wall in his house. Pictures and notes about potential victims. It was literally a hit list displayed in his home, yet somehow nobody questioned it.
Right in his house? How did nobody notice something that obviously suspicious?
That's what makes this case so disturbing. These killers were hiding in plain sight. Bunting was well known in his community, often hosting barbecues. He portrayed himself as someone cleaning up the neighborhood.
You know what's really striking about this? How ordinary everything appeared on the surface.
The facade finally cracked when James Vlasakis, the youngest member of the group, couldn't handle the guilt anymore. After participating in several murders, including his own stepbrothers, he broke down and confessed everything to police.
That must have been devastating, being manipulated into killing your own family member.
The psychological manipulation was extraordinary. Bunting had a way of identifying vulnerable people and either turning them into victims or accomplices. He'd groom them, convince them his twisted worldview was justified.
So what happened to all of them in the end?
Bunting and Wagner received multiple life sentences. They'll never be released. Vlasakis got life with possibility of parole for cooperating, and Hayden, who helped cover up the crimes, might soon be released after serving over 20 years.
That's quite controversial, isn't it? The possibility of Hayden's release.
Many believe he knew far more than he admitted. The victims' families are understandably upset, but legally they can't prove greater involvement, and he's served his sentence for the cover-up charges.
This case really shows how evil can operate right under our noses if we're not paying attention.
And it reveals something crucial about society. How we often fail to notice when vulnerable people disappear. These victims were real people with lives and families, but they'd already been pushed to society's margins.
So what can we learn from this to prevent something similar from happening again?
First, we need to be more aware of those who might be vulnerable in our communities. Second, we should question anyone who claims they're taking justice into their own hands. And finally, we need to understand that evil doesn't always look like we expect. Sometimes it's hosting a neighborhood barbecue.
These stories are difficult to tell, but they're important to remember.
They are. And while we can't change what happened in Snowtown, we can honor the victims by learning from this tragedy and working to protect those who might not be able to protect themselves.
Thank you for handling this difficult topic with such care.
Take care of yourselves, everyone. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous monsters are the ones hiding in plain sight.